Hi, it's Chloe again at the Chloe Way. Today I've got a video on the surefire way to revise for GCSE English Literature. I know that it can be difficult to revise at home on your own, and it is definitely difficult to revise in a way that is useful and takes your responses to the next level. So let me show you one way that can revolutionise your at-home revision. We're going to be looking at how to use the all-purpose analysis tool. Now, this little baby honestly works so well. It works with everything. So that's poetry, 19th century fiction, Shakespeare texts, and post-1920 fiction. And that is everything on your literature paper. So are you convinced that this could work with your schedule? It is something that helps you make intricate connections across texts so that you begin to create higher level responses. And if that doesn't sound good, then I don't know what does. So let's take a look at how this thing works at its most basic level. Okay, so what I should say before we begin is that although this template uses 3 items, you can adjust the number to 2 or to 4, etc. This tool is flexible to your revision needs. And items, when I talk about them, are just sections of texts or whole poems. Basically anything you can use to answer your literature question. So to use it, firstly, we take item 1 and we just label it. So this could be the printed extract in your question, the printed poem in your question, or the first section of a text you think of with your post-1920 text, because you don't get any kind of printed extract for that. Then for item 2, you think of the next item that could link to that section of text or poem according to your question. So if the first item is a poem and you choose London, your second item would be the poem that you would like to compare to that. If your first item is an extract about Magwitch returning to see Pip, your second item might be the first meeting between Magwitch and Pip. And so on for your third and probably final point in the text, although that will never work for poetry. So once you've decided upon these items, the next part is filling in your thoughts. And this is where you kind of get the meat of your planning of your response. So what we're going to look for is commonalities. So things that are similar between these items. So that's between 2 at a time, as well as all of them all together. And then we look for what makes each item unique. That is to say, we're highlighting the similarities in your commonality circles, and then the differences are what are the unique features. But we're doing this in a much more broken down way, so we're building the basis of something that's actually quite a complex response. So I'm going to do an example for you, a filled out example, and I'm going to use Macbeth. And really it doesn't matter whether you know the text, it's just easier to see how I would add thoughts into the analysis tool, so you can try it for yourself. So for item 1, I'm going to use whatever my printed extract would be, and here I've chosen the unsex me here scene. And the question is about power. So for item 2, I know I want something with a bit of a contrast, so I'm going to use the sleepwalking scene. And for item 3, I want something a little bit different again, and probably in the middle of the play, as I have something from the beginning and end, so I want to use Banquo's ghost scene. Now, for how item 1 is unique. In this, I think that Lady Macbeth is coherent, assured, she plans secret deeds, she commands spirits, and she seeks bloodshed. Okay, so that's what I think is different about this item to the other parts of the text I have chosen. So then we come to item 2, the sleepwalking scene. So I'm going to look at what I've used for item 1's uniqueness and begin to base my thoughts of how item 2 is unique on that. So I've decided that here she seems incoherent, unlike in item 1. She seems insecure or uncertain, and here she's spilling secrets. And she seems frightened, maybe of spirits or of their haunting her, maybe of hell. and she regrets the bloodshed she once planned. So you can see how I've made links across the two, but I've also highlighted what seems different and unique about each one. Okay, now we're moving to item 3, Banquo's Ghost. And here Macbeth loses all power and Lady Macbeth must take control. So again, I'll think back to my existing items to decide on what is unique about this section. So this section is actually public, whereas the others have been private. She seems confident of her orders, but she's not assured, like in item 1, because she's worried Macbeth will spill the secrets. She commands men here, whereas in item 1 she commands spirits. And here she conceals bloodshed. Okay, so bloodshed arises in all of them, but in different ways. So now I have all my items and I know what is different or unique about each one and how they show there's different sides to a character's power. I need to now look at the commonalities. So I'm showing you here my rough workings as I sort of wrote it all together. So you can see that between 1 and 2, and that blocks it, I know that they both blur the lines between the human world and the spirit world. And across 2 and 3, I've drawn comparisons between Macbeth's behaviour that Lady Macbeth controls in item 3 and Lady Macbeth's behaviour in item 2. They're very, very similar. And across 1 and 3, I've looked at the questioning of gender and the air of command and control that Lady Macbeth offers. And centrally, the common theme is that of power, which makes sense as the question determined it, and that's the only kind of common theme I can find to all of them, but that's fine because that's the question. So therefore, with this, instead of sort of clear-cut similarities and differences, we can see a more nuanced and a more complex response that takes different elements of a character into consideration right across the text. And in using this tool, you're creating those complex links quite easily, and you're engaging higher order thinking, and you're hitting so many points on the mark scheme. Okay, so try it out. Let me know how it works for you. Visit my website, send me a message if you want a copy of it. Like, comment, subscribe. Okay, see you soon.